Hey everybody, Erica Serwin here from Pink Bucker Designs. I've got another desktop calendar to show you. If you haven't been following my blog for very long, I make these cute little desktop calendars every year to send out to people. See how it stands on an easel? And it's so cute. I have so much fun figuring out which stamps to use. And this year, as soon as I saw the Woodland Wonder stamp set, I thought, yes, I can make a little calendar fit right there. Isn't that so cute? Now, the calendar itself is from a company called Tailored Expressions. They're not very expensive. I think 10 of them are $3.50. You'll have to check. There is a link on my blog, which you can click here on YouTube, down in the description. Underneath this photo, you'll see a link there where you can buy those calendars. Now, everything else is Stampin' Up, and I'm going to show you how to stamp this tree. It's really kind of a cool stamp. It's a builder stamp, and if you look in the catalog, it has a card that kind of folds out long, so the tree is long. And obviously the tree itself, the entire tree, would not fit on a card front, so I had to get a little creative because I really wanted to include those little critters right there. So we're going to do that, and I'm going to show you how to color it. I'm going to show you how to use one of our new blending brushes to make the sky, and then I'll show you how to make the easel. Okay, let's get started. The thing I think is most important with this stamp set, you need the Stamparatus. This is Stampin' Up stamp positioning tool, and it's going to help you get that tree situated perfectly, okay? So what I'm going to do is start with this part right here. All right, and I'm going to set it down on my Stamparatus plate or base and pick it up. Now, I'm going to ink it here on the grid paper so I can see where to put my paper. Also, I'm going to stamp it on a Post-it note. You'll see why in just a little while. We're going to actually mask it. And we're going to need this Post-it note, okay? So that's for later. We'll save that. Okay, now it looks like my stamp isn't very straight to me. So let's try that again. Let's do that again. Let me flip my grid paper around. And let's try it again because I want it to be straight. That's the good thing about this grid paper is that you can look at it, position it, get it just right. Okay, so now look, I think we've got enough ink there we can see where it goes. In order to get this base down here to include the owl, we're going to need to cut off about that much of the tree, okay? So I'm going to take my Whisper White and I'm going to situate it so that I can see most of that side is cut off. Another thing you want to keep in mind is that you need this over as far as possible to have enough room for your calendar. I did a few where the tree was over this way too much and the calendar's kind of hung off the edge of the card, which we didn't like. So you want to get it so that your trunk here is going to be as close to the edge of your card as possible. Okay, so I'm going to put my magnets down, get my Memento. I'm using Memento because we will be coloring with Stampin' Blends, and that's the ink you need to use. All right, there we go. Now, we're going to leave that there. Let's see. Let me get my chamois and clean that off. The one thing that you need to be careful of when you're doing this is getting ink on your fingers and then getting it on your paper. Once you start moving stamps around and cleaning them, watch your fingers to make sure that you aren't getting ink all over them. And stop and wash your hands if you need to. Now, this little owl down here, I need to get him so that he's included on the bottom. And I'm going to get this and I'm going to overlap these little lines right here. Okay, I think I've got it. Can you guys see that? Right there, I've lined that up with a tree all the way down. So now let's pick this up. Let's try not to move the paper. I think I moved the paper. Yep, I did a little bit. Let's see. Let's move that back over. We still have that stamped image, so we can line it up where it was. Like that. Let's check it again. Sometimes your photopolymer stamps are sticky and they pick that paper up. All right, here we go. Ink it with Memento and get our cute little squirrels. And look at that. Isn't that awesome? Okay, now let's remove this. Take that off. I used this little sign here. Here's this little banner, but I needed it to hang out further because if I put it here, it's going to be on the squirrel's tail and it just wasn't right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it there and I'm going to ink it only up till this part. I'm not going to ink that end. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to look at it this way and only ink. Well, I got a little bit of it. Let me wipe it off. Only ink up to the ball part. Okay, I'm going to stamp that. We're kind of extending our little sign to make it longer. Okay, now we'll set that down. And it's kind of like doing a puzzle. Now we'll ink the whole thing and it'll connect to that part. Okay, like that. There we go. Now, one last thing is the sign, the cute little sign. And my connection isn't perfect there, so guess what? We'll stamp this right on top of that and you won't be able to see it. We'll hide their little boo-boo. Okay. Memento and close. There we go. Perfect. All right, now we are ready to start coloring. So let's move all of this out of the way. Let me close my ink pad. All right, let's start with the leaves. I am going to use my Granny Apple Green and I'm going to color in all the leaves with a light. Then I'm going to go back and add in some dimension with a dark. All right, now I'm going to take the dark and I'm just going to kind of outline each of the little lines in the leaves. I'm also going to fill in the spaces between the leaves with the dark to kind of make it look, you know, like the darker parts behind. All the way down. I'm going to even do right under our little bird here. All right, so fill all those dark spots in, or those behind spots. There we go. Also, while I have this out, I'm going to use the light to do our little nest here on our bird. Okay. While we're at it, let's go ahead and color our bird. I'm going to use Balmy Blue Light. And take the dark and just kind of go under her wing a little bit like that. Oh, we've got another bird. I almost forgot our little bird up here. We're going to do the same thing. Balmy Blue Light. And give her a little bit of dimension. Right there. All right, let's go ahead and do the tree. I'm going to take my Crumb Cake Light. And this time I'm going to use my brush tip because I've got quite a bit of ground to cover here. And I feel like I can get more coverage when I use my brush tip. There's not a whole lot of fine detail here. So I trust myself enough here. The brush tip I find I get a little messy with if I try to do some of this fine detail work. So I use the brush in broad, bigger spaces. All right, all the way down. Now, let's go up here with the other end, the bullet end. I'm going to fill these little branches right here. Okay, now with the dark. All I'm going to do with the dark really is go over the lines in the image. The artist who drew this kind of gave us an idea of where to put our darker spots. I'm also going to kind of go under our critters where there would be a shadow. Okay, it would be darker where they are. And now I'll just go back and blend it all together. Okay, there we go. Now for our squirrel and our owl, I'm going to use soft suede, and we'll start with a soft suede light. They're just cute little critters, aren't they? Be careful not to color his eye. I'm going to leave his little snout there. So I'm going to do that in the dark. Okay, and get to the dark. I'm going to come down here and kind of go around, down over here in his ear, and then his little nose. There we go. Now you can leave your markers open as you switch between the two colors. I close them when I move on to another color because I don't want them to have too much of a chance to dry out. But since we're going to use it down here for the owl, I'm going to leave it open. There we go. And a little bit of dark on the bottom, down here like that. And blend, 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 blend. Okay, last but not least is our raccoon friend. I'm going to take my light and I'm just going to give him one full coat of light. And then I will take the dark and color in the darker parts here. Put a little bit of dark in his ear. I'm also going to come over here to the pole for our sign. Just color that. There we go. All right, last but not least, let's give the bird a mango melody beak and the owl. All right, there. Now, I told you we were going to add some sky to this, and we're going to use a new blending brush. That's this right here. It's got these really fine bristles. They come in a 3-pack. I'm getting one for my blues, one for purples, one for reds, and I think you can use them interchangeably because they dry in between. You can also wash them with some Dawn dish soap. Okay, now to do the sky, I didn't want to get over any of my tree or my critters or anything. So I decided it's going to be dark blue up here. So I'm going to take this Post-it and I'm actually going to cut off this part right here. And you'll want to get your fine point scissors, and it's a little bit tedious, but it'll be worth it. Go around and just cut off. All right, I have cut out. I didn't cut all of it because really all we need is this much right here because that's already cut off from the piece. And we're going to lay that on top of there to cover it up. We're masking it. Now I'm going to get my grid paper. I'm going to set that down and we'll bring over this balmy blue. And I'm going to get it nice and inked up, and I'm just going to start off the paper and start rubbing it down like that. Don't set it down onto your paper because you will leave hard edges. All right, now over here, I didn't mask my animals because I'm not going over it completely. I'm just kind of getting the edges. All right, but I wanted it to be nice and blue there by the tree where it would be in the sky. All right, that looks pretty good. I think we're ready to put it down on our card. Carefully peel that off. And we're going to attach this. We're going to adhere. I've got a balmy blue card base and an early espresso piece that is just a tiny bit bigger than our stamped piece. Make sure you hop over to my blog. There's a PDF there under the photo of this project. Actually, it's under the photo of the third project. And you will find on that PDF on the first page, there are a product list as well as the measurements that you need. Okay, now I'm going to put some adhesive on our little calendar and set it right there. Let's go ahead and tear off that cover. How cute. Now, I felt like it needed just a little something else. So I am going to stamp 2 clouds and I'm going to fussy cut them out. I stamped them in balmy blue onto our basic white cardstock. 2, and we'll put those with dimensionals. One there and one there. All right, the last thing we need to do is to make that easel. The measurements for this will be over there on my blog. It's on the PDF. It is 4 by 5.5. I have scored it at 1/2 inch, 2 3/4, and 5. And we're going to fold it in half, and then we're going to take these and fold them up. Now you're going to take your adhesive and put right there on that edge, that tab. Set it down right here. It's a little bit narrower, a little bit more narrow, narrower than the card, because I found sometimes if I did it 4 1/4 wide, it stuck off the edge a little bit. So I made it just a little bit skinnier than the card base. And there you have it. See how that stands up? Isn't that cute? If you're going to mail this to somebody, you can write your message on the back. And these make wonderful gifts. All right, you guys. Now, I've got a couple other cloud designs that you'll want to check out over on my blog. But this post is originally a Facebook Friday post. So you'll find it on my first Facebook Friday of January. And it is the second project. And you can find the PDF over there as well as some other ideas. All right, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this project. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.